Hey, everybody, good evening. This is Man United Agenda. My name is OMONDI Juma. I'm here with my brother Kehinde, and we're discussing all things United. Good evening, people. It's Man United Agenda. It's 8 o'clock, and we're ready to rumble. Talking about Martial mainly today. Been some transfer news. How you doing, Kehinde?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. How you doing?
Yeah, good, man. Good. I mean, after the game yesterday, it seems like a loss, the way we performed and the result. Um, Everyone's going in, but I do tend to think it's because we're Man United and because it was probably the only game played yesterday. So we're all over the news. But the first thing I want to talk about, we go on to the game yesterday, but we'll touch on that as well. First thing I want to talk about is Martial. As you know, he wasn't in the squad for Newcastle yesterday. He told Ralph apparently he wants to leave the club last Wednesday. So what's happened is Seville apparently have put in an offer for a loan to pay half his wages, and half meaning 150 grand a week. So maybe he's on 300 grand. I'm not sure about that. So they want to pay half his wages. And Ralph has said it will only happen, the deal, if it presents a deal that suits United. So maybe it's been turned down. So what are your thoughts on that and on Seville offer of half the wages and it being turned down? And Martial wanted to leave as well.
Well, I don't really know what Ralph's stance is on it. Does he see Martial having a future at the club? Because really, a loan doesn't benefit us because he's not a young player. It's not like he's 19 or 20 and he's going to get some experience. He's 26 and been with us for a good 7 odd years or whatever. So it's not going to, I don't think a loan deal will benefit us in the long run. So maybe that's could be the reason why he's turned it down. Maybe he wants a permanent deal from Sevilla.
I think Martial's already gone to Ralph and said he wants to leave. So he's made that clear already. And then Ralph saying, do you remember Ralph said a couple of weeks ago, any player that wants to go should come and approach him and, just let him know, So he has made that clear already. And Ralph has rejected it. Obviously, it has to suit the club, he's saying. So I don't think it's an issue about Ralph wanting him to stay. I think Ralph would be prepared to let him go, but maybe if the deal's correct for Manchester United, and he could. I mean, if people get injured, Martial would be the go-to guy at the moment. With maybe so.
But this is the question: what is the correct deal? I hear what he's saying, but is a loan deal correct for us and him?
So do you think
of the club? If the guy wants to leave and doesn't want to be here, why are we loaning him when we could sell him in January?
So does his contract runs out the following year, doesn't it? Not this year, not this summer.
Yeah, it's not this summer. So we need to get money for him.
How much do you reckon he's valued at right now? Because we paid 36 for him back a few years ago.
I think it's 56 with add-ons or something.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I think we've probably paid that now. But I would say probably about 25.
25 mil.
25 to 30, yeah.
And with the market the way it is, obviously he's on, it looks like, if they're saying half his wage is 150 grand, it looks like he's on quite a bit of dough. Seville, do you think that's a good fit for him as a club?
Yeah, because I struggle to see anywhere else where he'll go, where he'll get straight into the team with the way he is at the moment. The way things are. He's not going to get into PSG's team. I don't think. Seville are doing well at the moment. They're like second in the league. They probably make the Champions League, so it might be a good fit for him.
And do you think that he's coming into his peak years now, that he can shine somewhere else? I mean, like the Spanish league, is it suited for his pace, his style of football?
Yeah, I do think he's in his peak years, and he had a really good season a couple of seasons ago for us. So that's why I'm sort of in two minds about it, because knowing how United are and how slow they are in transfers, I know that we will get a midfielder soon. Yeah. But if Martial leaves, we'd have to buy another forward because Cavani's not going to be here at the end of the season. So now I'm thinking about it. I'm in two minds about a loan, because when Cavani leaves at the end of the season, if we've got Martial as backup to Ronaldo, if he's still here, then maybe it would be good to keep him. So it's one of those ones. We have to see what happens. Yeah.
Well, in the aftermath of yesterday's game, it was 1-1, wasn't it? I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to speak to you about that. What's your thoughts? Just summarize about the game and how we played, because a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit unsure about the formation. I think it's an issue for me personally, I don't think the formation suits the players that we have, or the players are not intelligent enough to adapt to that formation, or probably don't want to. I saw Rashford a lot of the time in that position. He's always going out wide. I know he's not supposed to be doing that, but it's out of frustration because he doesn't know what to do. He's not good on the ball. He's not creative enough, I don't think, to play that position, or intelligent enough. So I'm just not sure. Like we obviously Ralph's come in to kind of save our season, and the priority should be to get the top four. I'm not sure. Do these players have time to adapt? Because obviously, Ralph's had 4 or 5 games now, and we've only won like by 1 goal at best. We haven't played outstanding. You know, is it gonna be enough time for the players to adapt to formation and make the top 4 and achieve something? I don't know. So yeah, that's the question mark for me. I'm not sure the formation is suiting the players that we have. It's not getting the best out of us.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting though, because during half time yesterday, Gary Neville, who's obviously a Manchester United man, thick and thin, he's called us whinge bags, the players. He goes on to say at half time, the players need to quit complaining. They've not done one single thing right as a team, and not one player can go in at half time and say they've done their job or even done themselves justice. They're whinging at each other, and they're a bunch of whinge bags. And they're complaining, arms in the air, and complaining, and all that kind of thing. So that's what Gary Neville was saying. Do you agree with him, or do you think there's some other factors there? This is at half time, mind you.
Well, I think he should know. I mean, because he's a bit of an insider, isn't he? He's at Old Trafford. He sees, you know, when it's half time, we're watching the game. They just kind of cut it off to the adverts, but he's seeing all the aftermath of how the players, how they're reacting half time, full time. What's their reactions to? Are they integrating with the crowd, or what are they doing? There's something else he said about Ronaldo running away, not clapping the fans at the end of the game because he's frustrated about his own game and just his attitude as well. So, as a former Man United player, Neville should know this about how players, what they should be like, their body language should be like at half time and during after full time as well. So yeah,
I mean, I agree. For me, I think that's not the way Ronaldo, but he's renowned for doing things like that, really sort of showing body language that he's disappointed and in himself as well. He didn't have a great game yesterday. He didn't get much service, so maybe that can be frustrating because maybe he wants to be more influential in the game, you know. That requires feeding him, and then likelihood he will score. Ralph, did you see Ralph's response to the game? Because obviously on the Man United agenda, we had our post-match show and we were going into detail about the reasons why we didn't play too well. But Ralph was saying, in response to the whinging kind of tag, he says it's not a problem of body language. It's a question of physicality. The meeting the demands of speed, tempo, physicality, and that's the side effects is the body language. So he's saying that the players didn't step up physically and meet that demands of the speed and the tempo that was required in the Premiership at Newcastle. The major problem was the way we played in those moments when it was about physicality. So it's winter, it's cold, we need to put our foot in, we need to really sort of go for it. So that was Ralph's response. And I think it's quite... Ralph thought he didn't really speak about the tactical side of things because there were some changes, but that I think was in response to what Neville was saying about the body language, or trying to, sometimes when you stir these things up, it causes a lot of division, doesn't it, about what's going on internally within the club. We're looking for answers, like for the result, but sometimes I think if you start to say, oh, Ronaldo's doing this, I'm going to go on to Ronaldo in a minute because there's been a lot of reports about him, about the body language and things like that. It sort of raises question marks about, is the manager got control of this? Has he got control of the players? Has he got control of the club? So he's come back, responded to Gary Neville and just saying it's a physicality thing. What do you think about that? Do you agree with him?
Well, like I said, he's obviously set out the team a certain way and he's got a demand. He's demanding what he wants from them, how he wants them to play. And I'm not sure it's so much is about a physicality thing, although we haven't played for a while. We've been off for a while. So it's maybe we weren't that fresh, you know, we weren't that sharp. But I don't think it's so much like a lack of effort. I honestly just think they're having trouble adapting to the system, you know, because, you know, the last time we played Newcastle, we kind of exploited them and we had those 2 wide players and things like that. I just don't think they're adapting well to. They don't really know. Because every player knows exactly what they should be doing in the system, and like I said, it was evident yesterday with Rashford and kept pulling out wide. And I think when you're not sure about what you're doing, it might seem like you're not trying, but it's nothing to do with effort. But it's just a lack of tactical knowledge, I think.
So yeah, I'm more thinking on your side of things. I think if you talk about physicality, I can't recall anyone pulling out of challenges or not working hard enough. It wasn't obvious to me, but obviously we're watching on television. You know, the issue was what I agree with you about Rashford, for example, not being in an ideal position, which is part of the shape. He was coming out wide and trying to do things that are not beneficial for the team, that kind of thing. So that's more of a mental thing in my observation, but obviously Ralph knows best, and I'm going to go along with him on that one because it's difficult. Then the other question mark we could raise is that we've had a lot of issues with COVID. We haven't played for a long time. I think Harry Maguire was trying to sort of he made a quote saying sort of almost put it down to the COVID situation and not having that sort of regular game time and that kind of thing. Where do you improve? Do you think it's anything to do with that as well, being a bit rusty? Like Harry Maguire.
I mean, like I said, I touched on that. I can't remember the last time we did play, and we probably weren't that sharp. And then if you're not sharp and you're coming up against a player like Saint Maximin, it's not good because he'll give anyone trouble. Any guy, any player, you give them trouble. His pace, power, trickery. So it really showed.
Just want to say hi to everyone in the comments. I'm going to jump on this comment quickly from Rash Mano. Good evening, Rush. How you doing? What he's on subject, he's on point here. He's saying totally a physical problem. He agrees with Ralph. Yesterday we got knocked off the ball multiple times, second best all the time. So yeah, that's his observation. I can kind of agree. It wasn't obvious to me though, but yeah, I'd have to reassess the game. Rush and what he's saying and what Ralph is saying as well. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Also, GMS, how you doing? He says the play doesn't look any different than it did under Ollie. It actually looked a lot better under Carrick. Do you want to respond to that?
Maybe. I mean, Carrick was on a bit of a roll. Like I said, I think Ollie, the formation was never an issue with me with Ollie. I thought he played the right formation for the players that we had. It's just that he didn't really adapt to patterns of play or proper style of play. He was just sending 11 players out there. So my thing was, let's get a player who knows, get a manager rather, that knows how to play this formation effectively, and get the best out of it. So I mean, this 4-2-2, it's just that I'm not, me myself observing, I'm not really familiar with it. And what he had Leipzig or whatever, I have to look at the players that he had and how they played the system. But I just don't think it suits players because Rashford to me is not an intelligent player. He's physical and all that, and he knows if you give him a role, go down.
When you say physical, you mean pace?
Pace, yeah. He's got the physicality. He's got all the the physical attributes. So
you have to say pace because when you say physical,
not so much strong, but I mean it's the pace.
So let's say pace.
Yeah, and if you're putting a player like that so central and in like almost a number 10 position where he's not that creative, it's not going to go well. Like Sancho could do it because he's played in Germany. He knows he's got he's got a better IQ. But if one player is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it can affect the whole team.
Here we got Saragon. Hi, Saragon. How you doing, man? He says we got stuck in the middle, two side to side, no ball progression. I just want to pick up on that. I agree. I think with the players that we had in midfield, like Fred, McTominay in the first half especially, they weren't able to distribute the ball or pass it around. They were playing a percentage pass too often where they knew it could reach the target, but they weren't prepared to take a risk with their left foot, for example, or their weaker foot. They weren't prepared to sort of play a long crossfield pass, which we did with Bruno when we got our goal. Bruno picked it up in that area, played a long foot, a penetrating ball over to the fullback who crossed it, and we scored. So I do think we were stuck in the middle, if that's a good expression. TalkMU, how you doing? We do need to toughen up as a team. This is the theme. A lot of the people in the comments are saying this now. Hi, Matthew. He said, first of all, big up to everyone on the Man United agenda. Big up to you, Matthew. Says it's obvious that we need to sign a midfielder in January and also drop Rashford. He's out of sorts. High five from me and my brother. We both agree on that. We agree with you there. João Felix from Atletico might be a good swap with Martial. Not sure if he
For
would
this
come.
system that we're playing, he would be a good player because
Yeah.
João Felix would be good for us in this system. Yeah.
And here we got TALKMU saying we've got to involve Donny van der Beek in the next game because, as we discussed last night, he will use the space provided for our forwards. Yeah, totally agree with you. You agree with that, bro?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Sarah going to say Martial in Rashford's left side, better decision making and holder of the ball. We don't. Are we still playing that? We're not playing that kind of system. But, yeah, we did.
Yeah,
they both had their strengths and their weaknesses. That's the issue here. Yeah. Hi, Ranwell. How you doing? He said, bring 5 subs into the format in the Premier League. Your thoughts on this? Yeah, I think we need to, based on the new COVID thing now. A lot of players are dropping, and you need to have bigger squads, so give tight sides an opportunity. Rebel says, big up the panel. The deal was offered for Martial. They were trying to mug us off and leaving us holding us the financial bag while they benefit from the player. Yeah, we agree with that. And finally, Rushmana says, our psychology coach is going to be working overtime in the next couple of weeks. Poor mentality, many of the players, apart from De Gea. Yeah, that's a good one, actually, from Rushmana, about if it's a mental thing, that the physical thing also comes from mentally as well. You need to be up for the game without getting yourself red cards, that thing. You need to get up for it. As they mentioned earlier in the comments, we would get shrugged off the ball, maybe second to the ball. And this is just standard. That's the first thing you want to apply when you go out there and be winners. You can't rely on your talent all the time. So, maybe the psychology coach will come in and do a good job like that.
And I just want to say as well, because Maguire and Varane, they looked really shaky. And obviously, like, I think Maguire's a guy, you did touch on it, he needs to be playing games to get his match sharpness. And Varane has only just come back for us as well, and he was really shaky. But Maguire, I feel last season, he was like one of our best players of the season, and his game mentality was like on point. But he's gone through a bit of a rough times like this season, so I think he needs to get back on it.
Yeah, and he's right to start, I think, with Maguire and Varane, getting them back in and get them.
Because they're our 2 best players
together. Just want to say, please, guys, if you're watching, please press that like button. Even if you're tuning in, just jumping in now, press the like button. Let's try and get 25 likes before the show's out, which won't be long. Just to touch on, so when we were talking about the psychology of things, we just touched on Ronaldo earlier as well. And this is what really makes me laugh. I mean, like we were saying, we're really the talking point of football at the moment because we played yesterday. We're the only side to play yesterday. The reports coming out, one from the Sun, one from the Mirror, and I don't usually like to use them, but I'm just going to give you an example of what kind of reports come out on Manchester United, because we are the showpiece club and the showpiece player, just based on nothing. So let me just hear this one out, bro. Tell me what you think about this.
Go on.
So the Mirror said Ronaldo's not convinced about Ralph's methods. This is the headline, and you think, oh God, what's going on here? Said he was. This is the evidence they have. He was showing visible signs of frustration versus Newcastle. Okay, we've already gone over what the reasons might be. So I'm thinking, well, there's no quotes here for anyone to say what's going on. And it seems like they're just pushing some division or looking to create some sort of story out of nothing with that. And then the Sun goes on to say, this is what really makes me laugh about the media and all this kind of thing. You have to dissect things. This is why we need Rebel to sort of check over our news. It's Ronaldo has contacted PK at Barcelona and asked him to speak to Xavi about a move to Barcelona. Ronaldo's only just came a few months ago. And this comes from the Mundo Deportivo. It's a Spanish paper. It says agent Jorge Mendes is negotiating a move with Barcelona president Laporte. So how do we know? Did they tap the phone to say Ronaldo speaking to PK and say? So there's not much behind these stories, but don't you think it's quite funny? Just based on an observation that someone's looks frustrated on the pitch. That 2 stories like that can come out in big, so-called credible papers. What do you think about those stories?
Like I said, I wouldn't even read too much into it. I don't remember the last time I picked up the Sun. It's all. I just anything if it's not come from Fabrizio Romano, I'm not buying into it, man. I always look at good sources, and he's a really good source to whatever's going on. So, and I just doubt that as well. Like when Ronaldo was like a bit more in his pomp, and Xavi as well, the Barca Real Madrid rivalry was like, really hot then, and Xavi. I've just, if I remember, it's just like there was a big rivalry. I just don't think Xavi, it would go well. He's a Barcelona man, for an ex-Real Madrid player to like Ronaldo to come to Barcelona. It doesn't sit well with me. I just don't think he'll be for the idea, especially someone who's turning 37 next year.
I think I use those examples. Just I was laughing. I was thinking, wow,
Yeah.
it's what they've got all they got to work on. So I think, okay, let's see the source. Where's the quote? And there's nothing there. So every day, as a club, Man United will be spoken about, you know. But like you just said, you have to go and find some credible sources, and clearly these so-called credible sources are major newspapers in the UK and in Spain as well. They're not credible at all, are they? I mean, things like that. they can fill it. It's just filling gaps in the news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just trying to bring something. Ronaldo, how many times have we seen him really frustrated or not? Look at when Nani.
He was at Real Madrid.
Exactly.
Celebrate with his teammates if he didn't get the ball or whatever. Like, but that's just him, and you take it because of what he produces on the pitch. You know, you just you accept it. You know?
Yeah. Just to say, so Saragon says, I get the impression it was holiday camp under the previous manager, meaning Ole. Remember when he went to Norway, giving players the option to train or go on break? I mean, what are you going to do? Do you want to go out and then let me think about that one. You know, that's a good shout. And Rushminer says Ronaldo and others walk down the tunnel and not applaud away fans. That is people. I get the frustration, but some of those fans travel hundreds of miles to each game. That's true. I read an article by Evra today. He was saying he came off. He was tired one day. They all jumped on the bus, and they thought, I'm not going to sign any autographs. And they were sitting on the bus waiting. And then Ferguson came along and took 45 minutes signing autographs to the fans. And he got on the bus and said, "Get out there! These people pay your wages." And they all had to go out and sign autographs after that. But it was a positive story by Evra about look, you have to really respect the fans and you have to do things like that. So I think Ronaldo knows better, but I agree with Rushmire that it was a poor showing. And Saragon said Barcelona can't afford.
That's another thing.
It's like these stories, just you have to reject them. Dodgy source, Deportivo Mundo is a dodgy source. That's correct. Barcelona in the mud. They had to put £1 billion clause on Torres contract. Wow. And Matthew says we should get Kamara and Kesse in January. Massive upgrade to our midfield and relatively cheap. Because both are out of contract in the UK. And finally, I'm just going to go to another one where there's a list of names given by Depan Show. How you doing, man? So just going to throw out a few names that he was talking about here. And this is mainly midfielders. Kesse, Kudamende from Monaco. Paulina is he from Sporting? Ganguzi from Marseille Arsenal. And Ndidi. Tonali, he's a good player. Italian plays on AC Milan from Brescia on loan, I think. And Rice are good options. Pick out one of these or anyone else. Yeah. So we've spoken about all these players. Not so much Tonali. I like Tonali. Tonali's a good ball player. Plays deep, gets the ball, and starts play from deep. He's a very intelligent player, very young as well, and one of the starlets of Italy at the moment. Yeah, I like him. He's a good player. It's really interesting to see who we're going to get. But I reckon you've got faith in Ralph, haven't you, bro? About this player he brings in.
I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. But I really don't know because I don't. To be honest, I still don't know enough about him. And I hope that I know what sort of player he's looking for, like dynamic, hardworking, and all that. And I think that's sort of the player that we need now. But in terms of like a long-term future, I'm just not really too sure at the moment. It's still.
We did the shows we've done recently on Man United Agenda. We've kind of established it's going to be someone who's like under 25, someone who might not be well known to everybody, but someone who fits the bill, like you said, about what we demand from having a player in those positions, especially in number 6. And all the players that have been mentioned so far by people in the comments, they all sort of fit that criteria. Having a good technique, good awareness, be able to spray a pass, good IQ, and they've got a no ceiling of development. They can develop.
I'm confident that he'll bring in an upgrade on McTominay and Fred, and that's all I'm asking. So that's
after yesterday,
all those guys that were named,
After yesterday, it's evident that that is the position. It's just screaming out. It was screaming out through the screen, saying we need to look a better player here. Because look, he subbed both Fred and McTominay during the game, and I think that says to me he knows there's something wrong there as well. Just go through. Annie Herbert says Rannick has mentioned about changing the system from to 4-2-2-2 to your favourite one under Oli Kahinde, a 4-2-3-1. Thoughts on that?
Well, the player that we signed, Jadon Sancho, his position is a wide player. So we've always been Man United tradition since Fergie. It's always been about width, hasn't it? And you know, Greenwood flourishes in that right hand position. You know, he gets a lot of goals from there. Sancho, he could play either left or right. So if we buy a player like Jadon Sancho, we need to use him in his best position. So I'm all for that. You know, I know Ralph, that might be his preferred formation, but a good manager should be able to adapt to any formation depending on the players that he's got.
Interesting points. Yeah, well said. TALKMU saying Kessie and Rice for him. Rice could cost a lot of money. Saragon said United should shop smart. Declan Rice way too pricey, I'll just say. Rushmana, Rannick's history of finding players is fantastic. Developing and finding great players, that's what he does. Matthew says, what do you think about Pedro Gonzalez replacing Paul Pogba? He's the guy who took over. He got great stats. Took over from Bruno at Sporting, didn't he? He'd already been at Newcastle. I think he was at Newcastle a while ago. Yeah, but he's come over. He's a sort of attacking midfielder from Sporting. He's had really good stats since Bruno left. Better the stats than Bruno was producing at Sporting.
I would personally just prefer to see Donny get the chance when Pogba's gone, because he's a ready-made guy, you know. So.
Bruno, Donny, Matic, and Fred for Burnley game. Bruno and Donny. Yeah. What do you think about Bruno dropping into the 6 yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it made a big difference because, you know, like he's a lot better than Fred and McTominay. And people, I think, onshore, I don't know why Oli never even tried that before, because at Sporting, he used to play as like a right side of a 3. He was never a number 10. And sometimes he used to play deeper as a CDM for Sporting. That's what people don't know. Yeah. So he can do that role. So, it was good to see.
And he set up the goal. Goal.
Like to get him on the ball, because sometimes when he's too far up the pitch, he doesn't get enough off the ball and he gets frustrated. Get him on the ball, you know?
So that's the key thing. Those 2 6s that we've got currently in Fred and McTominay don't have that ability. But someone who might have that ability is James Ward-Prowse. He could do what Bruno did yesterday, as in spraying the ball out wide. So that's another one that we haven't really spoken on, but it could be available because he plays for Southampton, been there for a long time as well. Yay or nay for James Ward-Prowse?
No, we need to think bigger than that.
Ruben Neves,
I like Neves.
Yeah, I know you like him. That's from Saragon.
Yeah.
We discussed him at the previous transfer window. I don't know how he's performing this year. I haven't really watched him much, but we got to play Wolves, I think, after Burnley. So that would be a good spotlight to put.
For what Ranieri's looking at, though, I don't think he'll go for someone like Neves. He wants someone more dynamic, I think.
All right, I'll let you read this one out, bro, because this will really spark you up. James Garner, get him back from Forest. You like Garner? Go on.
No.
Just give me a minute. Go on.
Listen, I love James Garner. I think he's the future. I think he's the guy that's got to come back in. He's going to be like the new Michael Carrick, but I think he might even have more to his game, like maybe better range for passing than Carrick.
Wow, that's a
range for passing, but like not position wise. But I want him to finish the season at Forest. I've been keeping my eye on them, and they had a really bad start, but now since they sacked their manager, Chris Hughton, they're getting up to the top 6 now. So I want to see him see out the season for Forest, see what he could achieve. Can he get them promotion and everything? And it's come back.
Brilliant. So player cam guys on James Garner down at Nottingham Forest on their rise, their position for the playoffs now. Player cam when we play Wolves on Neves as well. Just have a look at these guys and see how they're playing. We're going to wind up now. Decent shouts to Saragon regarding Ward-Prowse. And finally, Neves is a more realistic option in January. So, brilliant. Thank you, Kahinde, for coming on tonight. So, just to say, a load of baloney about the Ronaldo thing, just because he waves his arm in the air and everything else. He's not going anywhere, so don't worry, guys. It's just a load of uncredible papers. when we get our sources, we like to filter them through and really discuss what's right, what's wrong, and that's a wrong one. Otherwise, it's on to Burnley. We'll be doing a preview show tomorrow. Hope all of you guys tune in. That's going to be interesting game, especially when we talk about physicality. Ain't that right? You know,
Yeah.
So we better be on the ball,
Yeah.
otherwise Ralph will be going crazy. So, but apart from that, big up Kehinde for coming on the show. Thank you for your insight as always on point. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless. Bye.